This session is entitled Postmodernism, a Study in Understanding. Both modernism and postmodernism are worldviews. Everyone has a worldview. But what is a worldview? James Shire explains it this way. A worldview is a commitment, a fundamental orientation of the heart that can be expressed as a story or in a set of presuppositions, that is, assumptions which may be true, partially true, or entirely false, which we hold consciously or subconsciously, consistently or inconsistently, about the basic constitution of reality, and that provides the foundation on which we live and move and have our being. The modern era was from 1500 to 2000. The postmodern era is said to begin in the year 2000. They can also be called modernity and postmodernity. In modernity, rationalism was seen as being of the utmost importance in the area of epistemology, or the study of knowing. Doubt is what fueled scientific inquiry, but the product appeared to be certainty. Science, for many people in the modern era, replaced religion as the source of absolute truth. Modernism tried to say that it could fix society, heal all diseases, and came to the place that they believed that there was no need for God. Thus, the announcement, God is dead. The acknowledgement of the death of God is the beginning of postmodernism. For in final analysis, postmodernism is not post anything. It is the end of the modern, the result of the modern taking its own commitments too seriously and failing to produce what they promised. Where modernity emphasized reason, or the human ability to overcome every obstacle, postmodernity lives in mysticism, relativism, and the incapacity to know anything with certainty. That includes truth, and it includes the great overarching beliefs about life, or answers to life's great questions. So what were the shifts that occurred in this change? The first is AntiRealism in ontology, or how we learn. Modernism believed that there is an external world and we must be involved in obtaining the true, that is, accurate, objective, valid copy of the world. It had three basic tenets. There is a world of real existence. The way we know this world is through reason. Secondly, this real existence can be known by the human mind. Thirdly, such knowledge can offer guidance for individual or social action. Nietzsche, who was instrumental in the change from modernism to postmodernism, refused these three tenets. He said, "The world doesn't determine truth, nor is the world the final court of appeal which compels us to accept what is or believe what we ought. As a result, all truth is relative to one's own experience. The real world in which I live is real only to me." Secondly, anti-foundationalist in epistemology, or how we know things. The idea of searching for and accepting a foundation is simply the attempt to secure solid ground of knowledge, or for knowledge claims. Nietzsche considered the search for certainty and foundation in epistemology impossible to attain. Knowledge is not seen as a set of beliefs to be grounded, but rather a series of linguistic signs which designate and describe the world in light of our evolving needs, interests, and purposes. Truth has meaning only in the way I communicate it to you. Thirdly, dismissal of the mind as a sphere of inquiry. In response to the Cartesian view of a priori knowledge, I think, therefore I am, reality is seen as escaping something that I may or may not even be. If you don't hear me, and if you don't respond to me, I don't really have a sense of being. For the postmodernist, there is no single story, no meta-narrative, in our terms a worldview, that holds Western culture together. With postmodernism, no story can have any more credibility than any other. And all stories are equally valid, being so validated by the community that lives by them. There has been a movement from pre-modern concern for a just society based on revelation from a just God to a modern attempt to use universal reason as the guide to justice, to a postmodern despair of any universal standard of justice. However, today's world is not impressed with a church that does not show that it is interested in social justice. And we must always remember that God himself cares about justice too. I want to note here, just in passing, that Nietzsche, who facilitated this change from modernity to postmodernity, had a nervous breakdown and lived the last years of his life in mental illness. And the truth is that none of us can live without a sense of truth, without a sense of foundation. Because without a foundation, as Jesus said, when he told the stories of the two people that built their houses, one on sand and one on rock, that when the rains and the storm comes, then the house built on sand, the house built on a lack of truth, will always fall. Let me tell you about the views of postmodernism. There is no God. God is dead. There is no meaning or purpose. Life is absurd. There is no predictability. The world is chaotic. And there is no truth. Perspective is everything. In talking